Africa's 81 victims of the Nigeria's building collapse ready to be repatriated. Why did it have to take 2 months before these bodies could be brought back home? How is the synagogue church assisting the affected families to cope with their grief? And what cultural implications has this long wait had on the family's burial preparations? What time is it? It's question time. Hello and welcome to the show. My name is Mpotsedu. Seeking divine intervention. When thousands of Pastor T.B. Joshua's Synagogue Church of All Nations pilgrims visited the church, that was on 12 September 2014, to fulfill their spiritual needs, little did they know that the guest house would collapse on them, claiming a total of 116 lives. While conflicting versions of what really caused this tragedy continue to be debated, families of these victims are still anxious to receive their mortal remains. In a sudden twist of events, latest reports from Nigeria suggest that only 54 of the 81 South African bodies are likely to be repatriated. But what exactly caused this delay? My guest today in studio is Balichweni, spokesperson for Synagogue Church of All Nations. And joining us on the line from Nigeria, Pumla Williams. She's the spokesperson of South African government. But before we go into the show, let's firstly have a look at this insert.
The Federal Republic of Nigeria is not only the most populous in Africa, but is also arguably one of the most religiously diverse. It is therefore not a surprise that 5 of the world's 10 richest pastors are said to be from Nigeria. The Synagogue Church of All Nations pastor, T.B. Joshua, the third richest Nigerian preacher according to the 2011 Forbes list, is famous for his miracle healing and prophecies, thereby attracting thousands of followers from all over the world. 2 months ago, the famous Synagogue Church of All Nations guest house collapsed, killing over 100 pilgrims, among them 81 South African citizens. After the family's long and agonizing wait, South African authorities have promised to repatriate the victims' remains.
We are ready to repatriate them. When we get the green light, the infrastructure is ready. 2 across may be arriving, and then here in Lagos on Saturday, so that we can be able to repatriate the mortal remains.
Whether all the victims will be brought back to the country is now in the hands of the Nigerian and South African governments.
We have identified 70 bodies. Out of those 70, 54 are South Africans positively identified. I have no reason whatsoever not to permit you to take those 54. So you have my okay to take them. I think this is a decision for your government now, whether you want to take them in batches or you want to wait for us to conclude all of the remaining investigations and get everything. But if you elect, as I think that I understand you to be saying, you have my permission to do so.
That was our insert. Mr. Choni, welcome to the show. But firstly, before we go into the program, let's bring in Ms. Williams. Pumla Williams is the spokesperson of the South African government, joining us from Nigeria. What is the latest? Minister is saying as soon as we get the green light from the Nigerian authorities, we'll be able to do likewise to repatriate those mortal remains. Have you received the green light, and what is going to be happening from now onwards?
Good afternoon, Mpo, and good afternoon to Ndate Tswedi and the viewers of Question Time. Yes, you will recall that the President sent Minister Hadebe together with the Director General as a special envoy to try and interact with the political leadership of Nigeria to fast-track the process. I think all of us appreciate the fact that it is unheard of in the South African culture that a person can wait 2 months. It is a grueling process, but I think we should also indicate, just as we take a step back, that yes, it has been a long process, but I think it has been a process which was necessary because these are South Africans who died outside the borders of South Africa, and that in itself posed its own challenges. And secondly, the accident itself was quite gruesome. So the process of identifying the bodies also was not a quick fix process. So we have had to go through all these processes to arrive at a stage where we are saying we are ready to repatriate the remains of South Africans. So yes, we cannot say that there hasn't been a cooperation from the leadership of Nigeria, but I think the last stages has been a bit of a concern because if you recall, 3 weeks ago, we were told that there is a DNA process which is seeking to conclusively verify the remains that were in the mortuaries. And I think that process was beginning to take a bit long. And I think we're happy that the President of the Republic of South Africa, true to his commitment that he will do whatever it takes to make sure that we bring back the remains. And that process has also assisted us in being where we are today, wherein the minister has confirmed that we will be repatriating the remains on Saturday.
Okay. Now, it is only 54 of the 81. What's the reason?
Well, I think at this point, yes, the governor yesterday said that it is 54 that were confirmed. But you must also remember that that process, from our understanding, is not complete until we then are saying on Saturday, these are the remains that we're taking. There's a lot of work that is still happening, and this is the report that was given by the governor. But I think we would want to say to South Africans, the minister has committed to hold a briefing just before we depart on Saturday and confirm how many bodies will be coming to South Africa. The other commitment that we have made is that should we be unable to bring all 85 of the bodies, we have made a commitment that we will interact with those families before. They will not be told through the media. Okay. We are going to interact with those families, but we are still working on repatriating 85 people who died, who are presumably the South Africans, and the 3 Zimbabweans and 1 DRC.
Okay. Now, of the 54 that you are going to repatriate, are they going to be taken to their respective families for burial, or you're still going to keep them as government to try and finalize some of the nitty-gritties that accompany this type of an operation?
No. Paul, what we're planning to do, we will be expected to land, the cargo is expected to land in around mid-morning on Sunday. There will be a brief ceremony that will be taking place, but we will not offload the bodies in the mobile trucks that they will be coming with. They will immediately thereafter move to the provinces where they come from, because we do not want to wait any extra time. What is going to be happening is that the families will be able to access these bodies as early as Monday, or at the latest, depending on which province they come from, at the latest by Tuesday, the families will be able to take over and finalize their rituals in the manner that they want to do it.
I'm sure you understand that you're going to be under quite a lot of pressure from the families of those who have not been confirmed or at least verified conclusively, as you have said.
Well, that is one of the reasons, that we're saying that this is a matter that is going to be extremely sensitive. We're still not expecting to leave any South African behind, but I think what we are going to do, should there be a stage where some are going to have to remain because they have not been conclusively verified, we will try and deal with this matter in a most dignified way. I don't think these families have gone through a difficult time of waiting 2 months, and the least we want to do is to also bring in a body that we cannot conclusively confirm that it is their loved one. But I think we will engage with these families. I think it is going to be a difficult exercise, but it will be done. It has to be done.
Okay. Perhaps a very quick one. Any plans for a national memorial service?
Well, at this stage, I think those families have waited long enough.
Okay.
Our commitment as government has been that we are only going to repatriate and the families will then take over.
Okay. Let me thank you for that time. That was Phumla Williams, the spokesperson of the South African government. For now, we're going to take a quick break. When we return, Balitweni is the spokesperson of SCON. This is Question Time.
Zoom into Africa. This is the Kingdom of Lesotho. The leader is King Letsie III. The Kingdom of Lesotho attained full independence on 4th October in 1966. The population is more than 2 million people. One of the major languages spoken is English. Monetary unit is Maluti.
In Parliament, Higher Education and Training Minister Bladen Nzimande has conceded that the bursary scheme is not enough to meet the growing demand from students.
Funding for universities is not enough. We're open about that. We will continue to ask for more from government as a department.
We've always said that the NSFAS budget must be 16 billion rand and that no qualifying student must be prevented from studying just because they cannot afford to do so.
There's been concern about citrus exports to Europe and investment contracts.
There are more opportunities for us to sell sugar, wine, ethanol, some fruit products than we had before, and that could create jobs.
That's Business News, weekdays at 6 p.m. on SABC News.
Welcome back. You're still watching Question Time. My guest in studio, Balitweni, is the spokesperson for Synagogue Church of All Nations. And later we'll be joined by Mr. Philip Mbedzi, who is the father of one of the victims, Mpho Mbedzi. Now, Mr. Chweni, welcome to Question Time. Has the church taken some responsibility in as far as this entire ordeal is concerned?
Well, let me first start by saying that thank you very much for the invite to come and clarify some issues. And to you and your viewers, greet you in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Now, in respect of the church's responsibility that it has assumed since the 12th of September, the church has been in constant contact with all the families. We talk of, right at the initial instance, these are the families of those who were still in hospital, in various hospitals in Lagos. The church was taking care of them while they were there and also assisted the South African government in bringing those injured ones back home.
Okay. The
church continued with that particular path of assisting the various families of the martyrs now. And in that respect, what the church has done, it has said families differ in terms of their needs. Before we can be able to embark on the process of assisting, let's do a quick analysis of what family needs of each family are.
Okay.
And that particular process led us to a position where we could be able to identify the needs of these particular families are of this particular nature. Okay. Right across the board, that is for all the families of the victims, clearly the counseling and the psychological and emotional support was provided. Also, the material support was provided to these particular families in a form of food packages and funds to enable them to.
Are you going to bury these people?
What we have offered as a church, it's 50,000 per family, which has already been dispersed to all these particular families. Now, some families, they've come and say, look, we are not, in need of funds for burial purposes because the disease had a policy. But we have said, look, use the money for whatever purpose that you deem necessary as a family. So that's part of the assistance. And again, it needs to be understood that particular 50,000, it's not really a cut-off. We've done analysis to say we believe this is what is reasonable for the purposes of being able to decently bury the loved ones.
Okay. Now, before we bring in Mr. Mbedzi, should we therefore conclude that that is an admission on the part of the church that you are responsible for what happened?
Absolutely not. It needs to be understood, and we made it very clear to the respective families that this monetary gift that is being given, coupled, of course, with the other, counseling services, they are not counseling or gifts for the purposes of compensation purposes.
Okay.
We are not saying that, the church is responsible and therefore for what has happened, here is 50,000. Okay. It needs to be understood. The Prophet made it abundantly clear. This is a gift to the families.
All right.
That's right.
Mr. Mbedzi, let me welcome you to Question Time. The bodies of some of the people who perished in that incident are now going to be landing on South African soil Sunday morning. Are you sure if one of them is that of your child? Or Mr. Mbedzi, can you hear me?
No. Yes, I hear you.
Yes. I was saying the bodies are now going to arrive on South African soil on Sunday morning. Do you know if your child is one of those?
No, I haven't yet received official information in regards to that.
What would you expect, though? I mean, suppose Mpo is not one of those who are going to be brought in on Sunday morning. How are you going to feel about that?
No, normally it will be part of disappointment, but what can men do is sometimes shows that he has got shortcomings somehow, and one should continue to expect that it will come to pass also that my daughter also be identified and brought back to South Africa.
And what sort of relationship would you say you have with the church at this particular point in time?
What do you mean by that?
Do you interact with the church? Has there been any form of contact between you and the church?
On daily basis?
Not necessarily on a daily basis, but has there been any form of communication between you and the church? And do you effectively understand and perhaps accept that Mpo passed on whilst on this pilgrimage?
Yes, I do. I've accepted it. It's long since it happened on the 12th of September.
And like I was saying, has there been any form of contact between you and the church?
Yeah, there are partners who visited us several times. We have also received a letter from the evangelist himself, Prophet TB Joshua, mentioning his feelings and his attitude and comfort, kind of a letter to us.
Okay. Hold that thought there. I want us to take a quick break. When we return, we'll wrap up the program. This is Question Time. You're watching. Please don't go away.
you ask?
This is who we are.
We are technologically driven.
We are unashamedly Afrocentric.
We advise you not only on legal matters,
but on health issues as well.
We bring imagination to life.
We celebrate arts and culture and lifestyle.
We tackle life challenges head on.
We dig deep. We probe. We question.
We invite you to take a view from our house.
As we tell it without fear, separating fiction from factual.
We are the SABC News Channel.
All news, all global, all the time. Welcome back. You're still watching Question Time. Our guest today in studio, Mr. Repatriation, is the spokesperson of the Synagogue Church of All Nations. And on the line, we had Mr. Philip Mbedzi joining us from Limpopo. Mr. Mbedzi's daughter, Mpho, perished in that ordeal. Now, Mr. Trin, there was talk that the pastor was going to make his way to South Africa. Is that still on the plan, or was that just a rumor?
No, it's still in place that Prophet TB Joshua will be coming to South Africa. Mm-hmm. He has made that particular announcement on Emmanuel TV that as part of an honor for the martyrs, he is of the view that it would be good at least once a month to come and hold on a Saturday a service in South Africa.
Now, what happens? Do you have a branch here in South Africa?
What you have here in South Africa, basically, it's the headquarters for Emmanuel TV, which is the media platform for Synagogue Church of All Nations.
Okay.
So what would happen is what you have here, all the media that you watch on Emmanuel TV, it's beamed from here throughout the world.
Okay. Now, most of the people, and I'm going to talk about my personal experience with people who travel to Nigeria, it would appear there's always something that they are looking for in their lives, whether it be, wealth or healing. But there's always something. Is it only found in Nigeria?
Well, I think let me talk specifically in respect of why these particular people, take this particular, what we call a spiritual pilgrimage to Lagos, specifically to the Synagogue Church of All Nations. Mpho, what the prophet is doing is basically carrying out that particular message that Jesus Christ left for his disciples and for me and you.
Yes.
To say, go out to all the corners of the world.
Yes.
Preach this kingdom of heaven, heal the sick, and drive out the demons.
Yeah, but the prophet is not going out. He's saying, people come to me.
Well, if you look at, for example, the Synagogue Church of All Nations through the Emmanuel TV.
Yes.
This is a global network that reaches the four corners of the world. Yeah. I was just saying to somebody the other day, watching Emmanuel TV, right border of Russia and Kazakhstan.
Yes.
95% of the time it's snow. You will find Emmanuel TV there. Okay. Go to the rural areas of India, you will find Emmanuel TV there. So they are able to connect because the prophet says distance is not a barrier when it comes to spiritual things of God.
Okay. So now, he's quite a wealthy man. I mean, if he's counted to be amongst the top 10, surely he should be doing quite well. And I would imagine you're not doing badly yourself, as Mr. Trini. But is that what is happening across the board?
I think it needs to be understood. The prophet's focus, it's about the spreading the word of God and doing, as I've explained to you, healing the sick and prophesying and being able to drive demons. That's his main focus, really. Money, if you really know the man very well, is not an issue to him at all.
It can't be an issue when you've got $15 million.
Well, I mean, I would not even want to, talk about, the issues of, money is $15 million and all that. But I know, as the man that I relate with, he's a very humble man of God. He's not interested in the money, but he's interested in the spiritual welfare of the people.
But then, if he's not interested in the money, why wouldn't he build a structure that would stand?
Well, you will be interested to know that just before I come to the issue of the so-called structural defect, you'll be interested to know that in terms of the outreach of the humanitarian and charitable projects that he's running worldwide, literally worldwide, it's amazing. There's a tremendous amount of money that goes towards charitable causes.
Okay.
Now, coming to the issue of the so-called structural defect, there's been a complete misconception and misunderstanding as far as this is concerned.
Okay.
We are, as a church, of the view that this particular collapse has got absolutely nothing to do with structural defect. We say there is a sabotage that has taken place.
By who?
And we want, now, when we say by the evil forces, clearly it's people who are working for the devil, who can be able to come and be able to cause the collapse of the building.
No, but
we have
Mr.
demonstrated.
Trini,
let me just
Mr.
finish this
Trini,
particular
wait,
part. Let me just finish this particular.
Mr. Trini, let me interrupt you. Are you saying the devil collapsed the building?
Let me see. Okay, this is what I mean by this. The building collapsed as a result of the intentional controlling of the building to collapse. What do you
By
call
who?
I'm coming to that.
No, give me a quick question.
Yes.
I mean, a quick answer. We've run out of time.
What the point that you were saying is we do not know, as we speak right now, the identity of that particular person. However, what we know as a matter of fact, it's somebody has deliberately sabotaged this particular building to collapse.
The leader is a prophet. He should have seen this.
He foresaw that, by the way.
Now, why didn't he get people to move out of the building?
Okay, let me explain to you.
Mr.
He foresaw that.
I'm sorry, we've run out of time. And Bombezi, Robert Buangamanda, Kainombeka Mshuma, we're hoping we'll talk to you again next time. Mr. Trin, let's get some more time. I'm sorry.
Yeah?
I'm sorry, we'll have to talk about this. This was Question Time. Okay. Our email address, questiontime@sabc.co.za. Our Twitter handle, @questiontime24. And you can also follow me on Twitter, @Mpho Tsedu. That's it from us. Goodbye.